At this time, we're going to move on to the mayoral councilors debate, the mayoral candidates debate, pardon me. And that's what we all paid admission to get in here to see, was these two gentlemen. We have Steve Barry and Jeff Jordan, and I'm going to ask them to come forward and take their seats. Similarly, we'll have a 2-minute opening remark from each of these gentlemen. Watch the wires there. And then we'll be getting into the debate portion of the evening. There are a number of questions that have been submitted online through the Chamber of Commerce. Those questions have been assembled and put before me to ask this evening. They have been submitted anonymously. They are all issues that have been vetted through the Chamber of Commerce committee that's responsible for this evening's event. And we're going to give each member, each candidate, the opportunity to answer each of the questions. They will have 2 minutes. Again, our timekeeper will raise his hand when 15 seconds is from the end of your time slot. And then each candidate will have a 30-second rebuttal. And that will be a 5-second warning at the end of that. So it's 2 minutes for your answer. The other candidate, 2-minute answer, then a 30-second rebuttal, a 30-second rebuttal. Just so everyone's got it, that's what the rules will be this evening. I'm going to stick to my practice of calling them in the order that you will see them on the ballot. On October the 22nd, I believe, is the big day. And we will start with Steve Barry. Steve, if you could come forward.
Good evening. Thanks for coming. Just a little bit about myself. I grew up in Hamilton, moved to the community about 26 years ago with my lovely wife. We have 2 sons that both attend post-secondary school. My educational background includes Mohawk College, degree in McMaster in political science, Dalhousie University in fire service leadership, public administration courses in Ryerson. And I'm telling you that not to impress you with my educational background, but I've always been one that believes that education is a great foundation to start your future. Worked for the Hamilton Fire Department for the last 28 years. I'm a captain in the fire department, district chief as well. Listen, I've served on town council for the last 18 years, since the year 2000. I've also dedicated myself. I'm a bit of a sports nut. I've coached hockey and Grimsby Minor hockey for 14 years. Minor football, soccer, baseball, any sport I've been involved in, because that's what I believe I'm giving back to the community. Listen, politics has changed in the town. It's no longer about facts, whether that's to social media or people fill in the gaps. It's about throwing mud at the wall and let's see what sticks. Okay? People talk about the issues: commitment, integrity, accountability, honesty. Listen, they're words. I lived 18 years of my life dedicating myself to this town, and I live by those words. It's not something that I'm just telling you. Check my record. It's 18 years of commitment. I can go over all the meetings I've been to. Yes, some haven't been the greatest meetings in the world. I'm first to admit that. But I do state my opinion, and I let people know where I'm at. I'm not afraid to state my opinion. If it's between fight and flight, I will stand up and fight for the rights that I believe in and the issues that I believe in. I'm not going to take flight. The last thing I want to just point out is, listen, people can talk all they like about the town. We're in great financial shape. Money Sense Magazine just rated us 38th in Ontario, 83rd in Canada. There's a reason for that. I'm not telling you that Canada did it or the council did it. I'm saying that we did it as a team. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting tonight's event, members of the public for attending, and my fellow candidate for agreeing to debate important issues before us. An open and communicative dialogue between a candidate and residents is the key to ensure that the voting public can make an informed decision Tonight's debate and the separate ward alderman and mayor and regional council debates are such avenues for residents to connect with candidates. For those who may be new in town and not know me, I am Jeff Jordan, and Grimsby is my home. I was born in Grimsby, grew up here, and after university, chose to come back to Grimsby. My family has been raised here, I operate my business here, and will continue to live in Grimsby. Many residents have expressed growing concerns that Grimsby is slowly losing the attributes that make our town special. With council welcoming unrestrained big city development, an unwillingness to protect our natural heritage, and a lack of transparency from our current elected officials. This election presents voters with not just a choice of who to elect as mayor, but also how Grimsby's future will be shaped. While my fellow candidate is committed to following the same flawed blueprint of the current administration, I pledge to fix what is broken about Town Hall and bring forth the change the community deserves. The lack of transparency and accountability at the hands of our current council are no secret. What is secret are the financial details of our tangled web of hydro companies that my fellow candidate sits on as a board member. As mayor, I will ensure that Town Hall and Council are a safe and welcoming environment for all, where openness and transparency are our guiding principles. I will work hard to bring you the change you are asking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Jeff. We're now going to get into the debate portion. Just a reminder, it's a 2-minute answer and a 30-second rebuttal. What I'm going to propose, though, gentlemen, if you're okay, is we'll pass the microphone back and forth just so we don't have to stand up and walk, and that way it'll save a bit of time and we'll get through all of these questions by the end of the evening, if all goes well. The first question that was submitted is, what do you see as the most pressing issue facing the town of Grimsby, and how do you plan to address it if you become mayor? Again, we'll start in alphabetical order, and then we'll flip back and forth as the questions progress. Steve, you're up first.
Well, after the last month, going door to door, if anybody cares, there's 11,677 homes in Grimsby. I've been to 7,000 of them personally. And speaking to people at the door, West Lincoln Memorial Hospital is obviously the number one pressing issue. Listen, I've sat on the hospital board 2004, 2008. We thought that we were going to get a hospital at that time. We require assistance from our MPP and also the new Conservative government. If there's an opportunity for us to get that hospital, it's now. But we have to do everything within our power to make sure that happens. That's not just to sit back and say, let's hope they put some funding out there and we can get it. I've had discussions with Mr. Oosterhoff, our MPP, and what's come apparent is that the provincial government wants partnerships. They want to see that we, the town of Grimsby, are doing everything possible to make the hospital happen. That might, we've had some social media stuff about the hospital corridor. Part of the plan is to make sure that we're ready for a new hospital. They're not going to have the big facility that maybe some people are hoping for. So we have to have some of the adjacent uses available near the hospital. So we can sit back and say it's just going to happen, which we all know, anybody who's been in this town for a long time knows that it's not going to just happen. We need to do everything in our power to assist with that happening. So I would say that's the biggest issue that faces us in the town right now.
I'll stand up if it's okay. I think the biggest issue facing us today is transparency. Transparency is what evades every corner of town council today. What I've found is the town goes into too many secretive meetings. The council and other members are involved in the biodigester project, which only part of council knows about. I find that me as a taxpayer, with with 10 million being spent on the biodigester, where is our taxpayers' money going? This is only one issue in town where we don't have final transparency. There's several issues where things are secretive at town hall. The ombudsman report already said that the council went into closed session 2 times where they didn't need to be in closed session. And I think transparency is one thing where people want to know what's going on at town hall. I really think that we should live stream our meetings on YouTube, committee meetings as well as council meetings. Right now, Cogeco can still record. I don't have that problem, but only 25% of Grimsby residents get Cogeco. So the information isn't getting out there. Even going to town hall, we find that you may want to be a delegation, and then the agenda doesn't come out until afternoon. The delegation has to be written in by 12 noon on the Friday before the council meeting. And often, the agendas aren't even available until after 12 o'clock. So I just, again, like to say that it's transparency that just pervades every corner of the town today. Thank you.
So I will just come here and I'll stand in between and make it more efficient. Steve, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
Well, first, as we know under the Municipal Act, there's 3 reasons why we can go into closed session: personnel, property, and legal matters. The reference to the Ombudsman report, and I'll take full blame for that. We have some issues with the biodigester that I was trying to share with fellow council members, and there's only so many opportunities to do that. It is a private business that we're trying to make run. And the only way to do that is to go into closed session, and that's why the Ombudsman was said that we weren't supposed to be in closed session for that reason.
Thank you. About the hospital intensification corridor. Why are we intensifying Main Street East before we even know if there's going to be a hospital? We don't know when the shovel's going in the ground. For a matter of fact, we don't even know if the hospital is going to be built there. I really think it's council and developers want to intensify and then actually make the hospital property more valuable, and it will probably move. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. With the large influx of new residents into high-density developments in the area, traffic congestion has become a growing issue. Congestion and accidents on the QEW cause an overload on the service roads, and the Thursday market closure of Main Street causes gridlock downtown. What plans do you have to address the traffic congestion? We'll start with you, Jeff.
Yes, traffic congestion is a major problem. It seems like every weekend the QE is backed up and that fills every arterial road we have. I think the main way to decrease congestion, or one of the main ways, is not building over and above our official plan. The densities that are over and above our official plan are adding so many more residents to Grimsby, and coupled with the traffic flow patterns on the QE and it being congested every weekend, and a lot of times if there's an accident, it congests downtown. What my plan, and it's probably far away, but I would like to see it looked at the province, is building the Mid-Peninsula corridor. It makes the most sense to get truck traffic off of the QE because there's so much truck traffic, and I think it ends up causing accidents. It's most likely not the truck driver's fault, but it's the people weaving in amongst them. But the Mid-Peninsula corridor is a long-term plan for reducing congestion, as well as sticking to our official plan and not intensifying above our official plan, which council seems really likely and happy to do. Thank you.
So I'll try and address a few things. Certainly the Mid-Pen is a long-term plan that
just pull it back. I think we're right in the wrong spot here. That's
Okay, so the mid-pen would certainly be a long-term plan. But that's not going to happen overnight. We talk about development. Listen, people love Grimsby. Developers have bought land, it's private land. As much as we say we're going above and beyond the official plan, people need to realize that we get reports from our staff indicating what is and wasn't acceptable. Okay? I've been on council 18 years, of which we've probably been to the OMB about 15 times, of which we've lost every single case. So we've got to be careful how that plays itself out. So as for the market, certainly to move the market from the downtown location makes no sense whatsoever. We need to get traffic flowing better. Maybe that's in terms of the lights and so on. Maybe we'll use off-duty police officers to get the traffic flowing better. But the market location is well liked by the majority of downtown merchants as well as citizens in this town. And I think it's a place where community happens.
Well, speaking of the market, I also love the market. I tried to go there with my family and my dog Violet, our 6-month-old black lab, and we're down at the market every week pretty well. I love the market. And as far as developers wanting to build here and build above the official plan, we have an official plan. I think it's wrong to build above it. I don't think good bonusing makes any sense for Grimsby. Thank you.
time's up. Steve, you have
You know, we can sit here and argue. We are a creature of the province, okay, under the Constitution. And look no further than what happened to Toronto City Council in the reduction from 47 to 27 members. Look no farther than the amalgamations of Hamilton in the early 2000s. We are dictated to from policies from the province. We can sit here and say we don't want certain developments, and I understand that. We're trying to control it. We can't control the pace in which it's happening, nor can we change the policies of the province. We're hoping that the the new LPAT is able to give us some relief in that respect.
Thank you, gentlemen. A question of a similar vein, so we'll get to expand a little bit more on those official plan documents, I suspect. It says urban sprawl and high-density development have highlighted many infrastructure challenges in Grimsby. How will you address the challenge of balancing the integrity of our small-town community, environmental sustainability, and economic development? Steve, I believe you're starting.
Thank you. So urban sprawl, the provincial government's made a policy statement that they don't want to see any more urban sprawl. They want to see higher densities. So they want to build up and not out. And that's, you can look at the Greenbelt Act and so on, it's their policies and what they want to do. People want access to the waterfront. We knew we didn't want to have the attacks on all our older urban areas. If we didn't have a policy in place in which we allow developers in a certain area to build the higher densities, then they're going to go in all the areas and attack our older neighborhoods. When we look at this area, this was a blank slate at the time. We wanted waterfront access. So what do? We developed a plan. So we said we want a waterfront trail. We now have a beautiful 3.6 kilometer waterfront trail for everybody to use, solely paid for by the developers. When the developer comes to town, he has to give us 5% in lieu of parkland. When they came to town, we said, that 5% is going to be on the waterfront, you're going to build us a waterfront trail. Okay? So when people talk about, what we want to see, that's an economic driver that we see. People, again, I didn't think the pace at which it was going to come at the town was going to be the same. I don't think any of us on council realized the pace at which it was going to come. But we can't stop those development applications. We have 6 days to respond to an application from a developer. And we have to have good fundamental planning reasons as to why they are or not allowed. So we also wanted GO Train. The province wasn't going to put that much money into GO Train unless they had the population base to support it. So in my books, it made sense for it to go in the exact location that we are having it in the West End, the high densities with the GO Train access.
All right. I have an opinion on development too, and I think it really needs to be slowed down. Right now, we've exceeded our 2031 development target as recommended by the region. It's time for us to slow down. Maybe there are development proposals on stream. Well, we don't need to have them as intensified and bonused above the densities of the official plan. It makes absolutely no sense to go over and above our official plan. We have enough population. Another important thing about development, I really want to preserve any heritage homes that we have. We've already lost too many heritage homes. I live in a heritage home. Our house was built in 1826. I moved from a heritage home that we negotiated with the builder to actually save that home. We restored it. That's on Main Street West. And I think there needs to be more of these proactive developers out there that are actually willing to work with our heritage and actually not leave. I know that there's a development for the Nellis Sprout House now, but it should never be in that shape. It's a travesty that our town has let that house deteriorate to the scale it is at right now. It just boggles my mind that this would be allowed in a municipality who says that they value heritage. Even the Heritage Committee was disbanded for who knows what reason. So I think that's where I'm talking about, and I'm sorry I went off track, but heritage is my passion. So thank you.
Okay, so let's get to heritage. We have more heritage properties in the town of Grimsby than anywhere else in Ontario. So I'm not sure where you get the information, but the Nels House, we are the first municipality in Ontario to take a developer or a property owner to court. Okay, we are ready to take legal action, and it's never been done in the province of Ontario. So we're setting new groundwork when it comes to the Nels House. And as for the Heritage Committee being disbanded, that was for personnel reasons, which I can't discuss. And thank you.
Well, we may as well get back to heritage. I realize that Grimsby has a lot of heritage homes, but if we lose one, that's one too many, because it's the fiber and the character of our town. Grimsby Beach is a whole heritage district, and I really think that we have to promote that as a town. And I really think that heritage is the way to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to change gears now. We're going to start talking about wine and bikes. Our wine and bike routes are badly in need of repair and improvement. How will you work with the region to improve Main Street East and West and support safe, connected bike routes on the major corridors? I believe we're starting with Jeff.
Thank you. Well, I've actually talked to several bikers, and they do have a big problem with the inconsistent bike lanes in our municipality. It seems like you have a bike lane in one section, you don't have a bike lane a little bit later. I'd like to really I understand we can't have bike lanes on every road in Grimsby, but we can certainly have continuous bike routes from one side of the municipality to the other. It's fairly simple. I know we will have to work with the region on that, but I am prepared to work with the region on regional roads and get a continuous bike route across the whole town. As well as wine routes, we have some areas of paved roads. Main Street is an example. I lived on it for almost 50 years. There's sections of Main Street that have never been repaired properly. It seems to be a haphazard approach to Main Street. Just 4 years ago, it was tarred and chipped on Main Street West, which made absolutely no sense for a wine route or for bikers. It's driving on a fresh tar and chip is not a biker's dream. So I think that we really need to do a better job of our main routes of getting them tourism and biker friendly. because let's face it, happy tourists will come back. Thank you.
So, you alluded to it, listen, not all the roads in town, there are some town-owned roads, regional roads. So, regional roads, they have a policy, when they reconstruct the road, they put in bike lanes. For the town of Grimsby, we have a master plan that we're just working on, and I know, for example, they met with all councillors, and it was discussed certainly in the meetings I've had with them. I'm sure across town it's been discussed. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we can connect that 3.6 kilometer waterfront trail into the woodlot and have a nice trail for a circle route, which I had discussed when we first talked about saving the woodlot. That was a little throwing me off there, but that's okay. So listen, we have to work together. The Recreation Service Master Plan is certainly, as we're working on it now, we'll be identifying those things that we all find important. So hopefully nobody's going to be riding their bike and drinking wine at the same time. As for the wine route, we're certainly in the bed of wine routes or wine companies that have tours. And I know that my son actually just went on a nice wine tour when he came to on his bike. So I think we need to enhance that tourism aspect of it as much as we can do, and obviously interconnected routes of any sort are going to help. But I would love to see a circle route in through our lakefront trail into the woodlot and around. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for bringing up the woodlot.
Giving you lots of good ideas.
The woodlot needs to be preserved, needs to be saved. And why our town council would bring it back to the region by opening up the Livingston Avenue extension environmental assessment boggles my mind. It was off the region's issues, and now the town of Grimsby and my competitor here has brought it back on the table. Thank you.
Steve, you have
It's typical. We talk about traffic issues, and then we talk about, let's not find out what the best solution is. I think the best solution is to find out all the information. That's how I do things. That's how I make decisions. I want all the information available as to what's best for the town. So when it comes to Livingston Avenue and Casablanca, we need to do the study to find out what alternatives are available and what we can and cannot do. But to just put your hands in the air and say, traffic's bad, I don't know what we're going to do about it, makes no sense to me.
Thank you. I'm going to get Steve all tied up here to this microphone wire in a moment. Gentlemen, would you direct more resources to the general appearance of the town by ensuring developers adhere to established tree removal and replanting regulations, and by starting to address some of the beautification issues needed in and around our public facilities and parks? Steve, you're first up. I told you I'd get him tied up in this thing.
This is just
There we go.
Listen, we have certainly beautification projects in town, and we need to look at spending more on those issues. We have presently an ash borer problem in town. So when developments occurred, and look at Central Avenue, one typical tree was planted, and now we're paying the pains for that because we're spending over $100,000 a year when it comes to replacing those trees and taking them down. As for the beautification, we've had to make a number of decisions over the years when it comes to taxes. One of the biggest things I heard at the door was taxes. So over the years, we've had to make decisions based on how much money are we going to increase taxes. Beautification certainly is a great idea, and I'm hoping that we can find more money within the budgets. But at the same time, we've had a 2.27% tax increase over 7 years on average. We've had to make decisions whether it's to hire somebody in public works or hire somebody in recreation services. We cannot hire everybody at the same time. So as much as I'd like to see more beautification projects in town, we have to do that within a limited budget and keeping taxes to a reasonable level.
I'm all for beautification, and I'm all for beautification of homes as well. And I think that our facade, our heritage facade grant is a really good idea. I know that's available in downtown, but I think it would be really easy to extend it to any heritage property. And I think maybe we can run some type of beautification program that is in public spaces and getting more volunteers out to beautify your neighborhood. I'm sure that we could probably get local greenhouse growers around here to actually donate or reduce product. And if we could get neighborhood groups to actually work together to beautify town spaces, I think that would be a real good problem, or real good solution to a problem. And I don't think it would cost a lot of money. And I think an open and inclusive nature at town hall will encourage programs like these, and it will encourage public input. And the more public input we can have about things like this will allow me as a mayor to think outside the box. Because I'm all for listening to people's ideas. I think the most important thing is to actually have your ears open and listen. I think that is the way to go, and it's the way to be at town hall now. I think we've sorely missed it at town hall for too long now. Thank you.
Okay, certainly extending the facade improvement program, which I think has done a wonderful job in our downtown area and really improved it and made it a viable location. We've looked at the beach area, which had been mentioned earlier. We're in the midst of trying to figure that out. Some people want certain things with their homes, and some people don't want to be told what to do with their homes. We understand that concept, so we're trying to work with the public and those people in them homes to find out what happens. And the other one is in downtown. We've already done the Christie Street Bridge. If anybody's noticed, it's been an excellent opportunity to see what we do when we have this. Thank you.
Again, listening, it could go very well at town hall. About the heritage in Grimsby Beach, I think that most people that live in a heritage home, they don't mind if there are some controls on it, because they want to make their house look like the way it was when it was built. They want to have a home that they can be proud in.
5 seconds.
So I really think that expanding that to Grimsby Beach would be a great idea.
Thank you, gentlemen. Do you have a strategy to deal with the emergence of 3 retail or commercial hubs? The old downtown, Grimsby on the Lake downtown, and the hospital corridor. We talk about local transit, but really nothing has happened, and we need to address this specific problem to ensure Grimsby develops correctly. Jeff, you go on. Appears it's a bit of a mix.
All right. Well, with intensification, whether it's more intensification or even just following our official plan, comes more need for actual transit. And I really think that transit can be done most effectively if we look at the model in Innisfil. It's an Uber-based transit. And possibly for our intertransit with the region, we can have one set route. But the Uber transit is the most cost-effective way, and it goes right to your door. What council is proposing is buying buses to a tune of over $2 million. And what they're doing is going to have them on the same static route, and it's not going to service most of the residents in Grimsby. People are going to have to walk, use their walker, use their wheelchair to get to the bus route. With Uber, it makes a lot more sense because it'll go to your door, and it's very cost effective. And people say, "Oh, there's no Uber drivers here in Grimsby right now." Well, if you build a need or show a need, there will be a need. They will come out from everywhere, and they will feel that need. Thank you.
So first, the transit issue, I think we have to piggyback on the regional municipal transit to eliminate some of the administration costs. I'm not sure where that information came that council approved any transit issue. We looked at the issue last year. The majority of council decided against proceeding at the time because of the cost. I don't believe the costs were accurate. They did a survey and asked people, would you spend up to $75? The information I'm receiving is going to probably be double that. I think the right information needs to be out there for everybody to see, and we make decisions based on the right information, whether it's Uber or any other system. I think personally that we need to piggyback on the regional system so we don't have two administrations, and we can see two different routes, maybe one down Regional Road 81 and one down Lake Street, or some sort of loop system. But certainly, if given the opportunity, I will be presenting that at the regional level. And just because I was listening and you talked about the 3 retail areas, the downtown is retail for a reason. We just spent, when I say we, through development charges, the Grimsby on the Lake was Winston Road got redeveloped for $8.2 million was spent on that location. It's supposed to offset each other. The hospital corridor, no matter what's being said out there, it's not about residential intensification and going up 6 stories or 8 stories. Don't believe that idea. The idea is to look at adjacent uses for the hospital facility.
On that note, I don't really think looking at adjacent uses for the hospital area makes any sense before we have a firm commitment for a hospital. And back to transit, right now, our municipality is paying somewhere around $230,000 a year for municipal transport. We aren't getting any benefit for that $230 million. It's over $1 million we've paid so far. Thank you.
30 seconds to vote.
Again, I don't know where $230 million came from, but we pay 7% of that, so it would certainly be $1 million, but I don't want to waste my time on that. Listen, again, the hospital corridor plan is not meant for residential intensification. It's for adjacent uses. We all know that the hospital is getting less and less use. Unless we think that hospital is going to shut down, then we need to find uses in that area that are complement what we're offering at the hospital. And as for the transit issue, listen, we need to get on we need to piggyback with the region to look at what's going to be best for all of us and how we're going to be able to use it for the best of our needs.
So we started talking about money, and that works out very well, because the next question is a bit of an interesting one. What are your thoughts on the biodigester and the release of the financial statements? Steve,
So this is a question that continues to come up. And to be quite frank with you, going door to door, I probably have only heard it 5 times. So listen, it's a private corporation. We're in the midst of trying to make that facility work. We got 2 choices here. Listen, originally when I don't believe it's a business we should be in. Okay? When it came up on council, we went and debated it over and over. We made a decision. I wasn't in favor. I don't go around announcing that to people that I was not in favor. But I have 2 choices here. Either you try and make it work, or you say, let's let it go at 10 cents on the dollar. It makes no sense to me for it not to work. It's in this room, I believe everybody's probably Grimsby residents, to make that facility work. Okay? Our hydro company is in great shape. There has been not $1 of tax dollars spent on the biodigester, nor has there been $1 of tax dollars spent in the hydro company. That's a fact. We keep getting misinformation out there. That's part of our job, I realize, to get the correct information out there. But it seems to me like everybody wants to throw mud against the wall and see what sticks. I personally believe my job is to try and make it work. And I'm going to do everything within my power to make it work. I'm not going to sit back and throw stones or throw mud at the wall and say I didn't agree. It's a democracy, not a dictatorship. So I'm going to do everything again in my power to make sure that facility works. When it comes to the financials, listen, we're in the midst of trying to find new revenue sources, trying to find partnerships, potentially sell it off. So to let that information out in the public at this time makes no sense from a financial standpoint.
Ah, the biodigester. Well, is it 10 million? Is it 12 million? We don't know. Is it taxpayers' money? Is it not taxpayers' money? We don't know. It's secrecy, lack of transparency. We as residents deserve to know what this has cost, if it's making money, if it's losing money. I really can't even make a decision on it because I don't know. It's secret. Is it private? Is it public? Is it both? It just boggles my mind that we as residents have a facility that's spent $12 million, maybe 10, and we know nothing about it. And we're not allowed to know anything about it right now. Certainly if I'm elected mayor, I want to open up the books and have a full audit on the biodigester. I think it makes complete sense. And to get back to a little bit of the history of the biodigester, it started out as a project that was supposed to be funded with grant money. And I think you were on council then. The grant money was supposed to be $3.5 million. And the grant money fell through. I think it would have been prudently financial sense to stop it right then and there. At least don't go any further. It makes no sense when you lose $3.5 million of grant money to keep pouring money into it. And the latest thing is, and maybe I'll answer it in my rebuttal, thank you, because I refuse to go over time. Thanks.
Along with the bad news should be the good news. So since Hydro Company was taken over by the town with the downloading from the Harris government in early 2000, it's returned over $8 million to the Grimsby taxpayers. $8 million. The biodigester starting this year will be paying back on a $5.5 million promissory note, $55,000 issued, $220,000 going forward. Okay. So when you talk about knowing your numbers, I think you should, because if you're at the delegation from Mr. Shafi back as the chair of that, he talked about the cost of the facility.
Actually, I was at that delegation and I wanted a copy of Shafi's report. But guess what? For the second year in a row, it was a verbal report. So there weren't even copies available of the biodigester update. And if that's not secret, I really don't know what is. And now we're talking about new revenue sources. We want to spend $2 million to pasteurize food waste on this new revenue source. More money. Thank you.
Phil, I'm going to ask you to put the clock on me now, because this question is a real long one. So everybody get comfortable and break out your joints, because it's going to take that time. Ontario municipalities have been given the right to decide if and where cannabis stores will be permitted in their community. The Finance Minister, Vic Fideli, recently announced that municipalities will have the power to pass bylaws restricting where people can smoke cannabis, but that otherwise the rules will mirror those that apply to the public use of tobacco. We still haven't got to the question yet. A Toronto Star article states that some people fear wide-open marijuana smoking will make Ontario the Wild West of weed. Not my words, folks. With people toking on beaches, playgrounds, and park benches and irritating others with potentially harmful fumes. Cannabis will be legal in Canada on October the 17th, and the municipal election is October 22nd. This could be the first big issue in the new term of office. What are your thoughts on cannabis store locations and where people will be allowed to smoke cannabis in Grimsby and in the Niagara region? I think Jeff gets to start this one.
Great, thank you. Well, October 17th, it does become legal. That's a fact. Right now, we already have an illegal cannabis dispensary. I think it's called Pacifico. It's right by the liquor store, and council's not doing anything about it. We have until April 1st to make our decision whether we want to opt in or opt out, and I think Alderman Mullins, I saw a Facebook post where she said that the town was opting out. And now I don't know where it's at the current council. I don't know if they've passed a bylaw or what they've done. But the legislation is really in its infancy, and there's a lot to read through. And I want to get through that because I have until April 1st, getting through it and reading it and finding what the rules are, what you can and can't do, so I can make an informed decision. It makes more sense to wait till April 1st, we're allowed to do that, and to decide what we should do. We have enough time in the new year of 2019 with a new council to make an informed and well thought out decision that works best for all of Grimsby. Thank you.
Well, first of all, the opting out provision is there and available. The reality is that we have no say on it's coming to our town. Listen, kids are going to smoke it. I'm going to tell you, I inhaled at one point. So, and you laugh at that, I guess, but it's not supposed to be a joke because I have two boys. I'm sure they're not heavy duty into this stuff, but that's the reality of being that teenage years. People are trying it. So they're going to get it somewhere. So if it's going to be coming to town, then we have to zone it properly. But I don't think we should have, I know that there's been over the years places that have had marijuana grow-ops in their facilities. So that's what I've heard. So I say that, but let's not be hypocritical here. We're going to be hypocritical. It's not right. If there has been, then we need to, I agree, we should police it properly, but let's not say one person's doing it and somebody else isn't doing it. The fact is that it's out there. We have to legislate it properly. There's good reasons for it to be used in terms of medical uses and so on. So we can either stick our heads in the sand and say it's not going to happen here in this small little quaint town of Grimsby, or we can zone it properly and regulate it.
Thank you. During our OMB hearing with the town, which was dragged out for 6 years, and we won it unanimously, and I do have copies of the OMB report at my desk. We rented a small portion of our greenhouses out to 2 medical marijuana growers that were licensed by Health Canada to grow for 6 patients. Thank you.
So again, listen, we can sit here and say that it's not going to happen and it's not going to be around. It is going to be around. And the fact is that we need to regulate it properly, zone it into the appropriate areas away from school zones and playgrounds, because people are going to want to go and get it or use it. Now, the police obviously have a problem in terms of detecting use of it when they're driving and so on, but I know that's presently being worked on. So again, I don't believe we should be sticking our heads in the sand and say it's not going to come to Grimsby because it is.
5 seconds. Everyone just go laugh. I think we're having a great evening. We're getting lots of ideas out here, and these gentlemen are answering the questions in stellar fashion, so thank you very much. We're going to continue with the next question. What do you think prepares you for a leadership role and bringing various personalities and viewpoints together as a cohesive team on town council? Steve, we'll start with you.
Thanks. Listen, I recently threw out my first flyer across the town. It was in terms of my endorsements. And when I say endorsements, people came back and said, well, you know, he's giving us a blank slate of candidates. That's not the purpose of what I was sending that brochure. I've been humbled by the support I have from sitting council members and Mr. Bentley, who's the mayor presently and is retiring from that position. I'm humbled by it in the fact that I know the people that have worked with me up to 20 years know that I can do the job that's necessary to run this town. I'm well versed in the issues. There's probably no question you're going to be able to throw at me up here that I don't have some idea as to what's been going on in the history of it. So, from my perspective, the commitment I've shown to this town for almost 20 years, it started out with the Westland Accommodation Review Committee when I was sitting on Grand Avenue School Board. We received $15 million. They want to shut down the school. I look in this crowd and I see some of those faces that assisted us in that endeavor. They want to shut down either Park Nels or Grand Avenue. Instead, we stood as a community and we said, no, that's not going to happen. It was a made in Grimsby solution. For 18 years, I sat on council. I've listened to the issues. We've dealt with a number of issues. It's so easy to stand up here and tell me what you could and can't do. It's a lot harder when you have to make those decisions at the time. Have we made all the right decisions? No. No, we haven't. As sad as that may sound, no, we haven't. Would we have changed some of them? Of course we would. But we made the decisions based on the information we had. So my commitment to this community hasn't just happened in the last 6 months, the last year, the last 2 years, the last 3 years. It's been a 20-year commitment to making sure this is the best place to raise our families and to work, rest, and play. Thank you.
What characteristics make a strong mayor? As a mayor, I plan to exchange ideas, not insults. I'm approachable. I'm accessible. I live in Grimsby. I work in Grimsby. I'm prepared to be a full-time mayor. I'm prepared to cut back my small business activities. I have the ability to give it 100% time. I think as our town gets larger, the demands on a mayor are going to be more and more. And I'm open, honest, humble, and hardworking. And I have the ability to admit mistakes, and I will admit them right away and fix it. Fixing a problem by admitting your mistakes early in the problem is the best way to go about it. It causes much less heartache later. I am a business owner. I am familiar with the business, lifelong resident of Grimsby. I too served on council for three terms, so I have municipal experience. I will be able to work with the region at regional council, and I know quite a number of councillors already. And I think I'm going to end with, I don't intimidate or bully, I listen. Thank you.
So let's address one of the first issues. I've been working at the Hamilton Fire Department for the last 28 years. I've got 34 years of public service time in. I could have retired 4 years ago. I was 51, I'm 55 now. I'm ready to retire early in the new year and dedicate myself full time to this job. And that takes a cut in pay in a job that I love. That being said, I believe that this town is going to go in the wrong direction based on the hidden agenda of some of these people that appear to be using it as a party platform rather than individual.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. If openness and transparency is a hidden agenda, if getting answers at our town council, if making our town council more open and accessible, if that's a hidden agenda, well then I have a hidden agenda. I just want what's best for our town, and I think we as Grimsby can be better together. Thank you.
Gentlemen, we're getting near the end. I'm going to exercise moderator discretion because I've got the microphone and you don't. So what we're going to do, this will be our last question for the evening, and then following that, you'll both have 2 minutes to address the group here this evening and with your closing remarks. So other than through the official municipal notices prescribed by law, what ways will you reach out to local residents and businesses to get their opinions and get them involved? Jeff, I think you're up first.
Well, I have a number of ways planned to get people involved. One thing I'd really like to institute at council is before every council meeting, having an open mic. I think people should be allowed to speak on issues, and I think we'll keep it civil. And me as mayor, I will do that for sure. I will definitely keep a civil tone on the open mic. But what a novel concept! People coming to town hall and actually being listened to by our aldermen. That'd be really nice. Another thing I'd like to do to get more public involvement is streaming both council and committee meetings on YouTube. I think it makes total sense in this day and age with technology. So you can flip on at any time after the council meeting and watch it, and maybe even live stream it so you can watch it during the council meeting. It makes it open, accessible. Everyone can see it. You don't have to come out to council if you don't really have anything to speak about that evening, but you'll be in the know, and knowledge is key. The more people that know about what's going on in the town, the better direction we're going to take. We need to have an inclusive approach at town hall, and I think over the last couple terms, that openness and inclusivity is sorely lacking. We have a town hall that just is dysfunctional, quite frankly, I think. Seems like one or two are making all the decisions and the other ones just follow along. I think Alderman Cadwell is the only alderman right now that asks the question.
So when it comes to the notices, so I think we need to do a better job of communicating. And I say that because, as I referenced earlier, there's only so much money to go around. In the last couple of years, we've had the idea of a communications director hired by the town, as well as an overhaul of our IT system. And for various reasons, we found needs in other areas of the town. This year, we did hire a communications director, which I think was a great idea. And the other reality is that we've had an overhaul of the IT system, which is going to assist us. Listen, social media is out there. I'm in the 50s, so I'm a little past the prime, but I've certainly learned over this election and the last year or so that social media can be a valuable tool if used properly. We need to get the information out there properly so the citizens of this town that want to find out can find out. When you talk about an open mic, we do have that system in place. You can attend any committee meeting that you'd like. It's a fact. I mean, you can attend the meetings if you like, and you have the opportunity to speak. Nobody in this room or anywhere else in this town can say that I've not been available if you've called. I will meet up with you anywhere you like, at any time you like. I've always been available. It's been 18 years of commitment that I've been available. You give me a call or an email, I will meet you anywhere. And I know the majority of other council members in this room would attest to the same thing. So if people aren't reaching out, there's not much I can do about it other than say we can open it up in the sense of social media, the communication. I've always sent out a yearly newsletter. For 18 years I've done it. It hasn't been something that's just come. A lot of this stuff, again, is talk. I've done it, and I've been part of it. So I hear the laughter at times, and I just would say to you that, I've done it, and it's not just words, it's actions. Thank you.
So I didn't realize we hired a communication director. It doesn't seem like the communications changed. And our IT director, who is on the sunshine list, well, he was notified about the broken link on the voter lookup a week ago. Guess what? The link's still broken. So I don't know what we're doing, but we need to do a better job. Thank you.
So again, budget talks, and if you were at the budget meetings, you would have found out that we did hire a communication director. So again, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, certain things are reported in the paper and certain things aren't reported in the paper. I have no control over that. It's certainly open, as I indicated earlier. personnel, property, and legal matters are the only parts of the discussions that take place behind closed doors. So I'm not sure, and as you talk about voter link, it's a link that is not associated with the town in the sense that we don't control the link. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your response, gentlemen, and your willingness to participate this evening, and also for your willingness to come out. We're going to give each candidate 2 minutes to give some closing remarks, and then invite you to mingle around the room, and you can come up and speak to either one of these gentlemen and get some clarification or some further questions. If we didn't get your question asked this evening, I apologize, but I think we got through the lion's share of them. So we started with Steve. We're going to start with Jeff in closing remarks. Thank you.
I wish to extend my thanks to the Chamber for tonight's event. What I hope I have accomplished tonight is to demonstrate to our community the clear difference between my fellow candidate and myself and the direction we want to take Grimsby. First and foremost, I'm a proponent of bringing openness, honesty, and accountability back to the role of mayor and our town council. As mayor, I will listen to my fellow residents and ensure their voice is heard at town hall, not stifled. I will defend our official plan against unwelcomed and out-of-context development. Grimsby must move forward, but it must also be done in a responsible manner. Our current council sat on the fence when given a chance to protect the woodlot. The region has said, this is the town's decision to make, and as your mayor, I will have no reservation telling the region clearly there will be no road through the woodlot. With increasing taxes and little to no increase in town services to residents, we must have a full and open accounting of our assets, including our hydro companies and the troubled biodigester. Residents deserve complete answers, and they are not getting them from our current council or my fellow candidate. If past history is any indication of future performance, with all due respect, my fellow candidate will not do any of these. If you and other residents of Grimsby choose to elect me as your mayor, I am fully committed to bringing forth these changes that residents have long been asking for. It is my hope that as mayor, our community and town government can be better together. I look forward to tomorrow evening to continue this discussion at Mountain View Church on Main Street East for the second mayor's debate and regional councilor debate as well. Thank you. Good night.
So after this long night, you're wondering why should you vote for me? Listen, I have a proven commitment to the community and the town of almost 20 years. I'm supported by the majority of council. I know I work well with staff. I have a proven ability to work with citizens and senior levels of government. Our tax increases have been 2.27% over the last 7 years. We have healthy reserves and a low debt ratio. We're under 2% debt ratio. There's a reason for that, because of prudent spending and prudent operation spending. We're a template for the municipalities in Ontario. I have a positive working relationship with all stakeholders and knowledge of all the issues surrounding West Lincoln Memorial Hospital. Finally, listen, let's not let a vocal minority of people decide our future. Okay, this is not party politics where we band together as a group. It's about individuals running for a position. We bring those ideas forth. It's not about somebody saying, I got to sign this. You talk about transparency and the rest, but you know what? I've lived it. It's not something that I haven't lived. So let's look at it. When we talk about commitment, integrity, accountability, they're words. I've lived with the actions of those words over the last 20 years. Now, I just want to, and I didn't want to end at this note, but I think I should, because people, this group of Better Grimsby, they knew about 6 weeks ago I wouldn't be attending this event. They decided to go out and, lack of a better word, I'm assuming, fool people into believing that we were going to attend on the Wednesday. They knew we weren't going to attend, and they decided to still send out the brochure to tell people we're going to. So I apologize in advance if people attend and expect myself or I believe Mr. Quirk, if he's in the room, we're going to attend this event. So, Mr. Joshi, that's another time, I guess, that you do that, but that's fine. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. This marks the end of our debate portion. We will be here for another half an hour, so please make sure you take full advantage of that time. Speak with the candidates. Speak with all of the candidates. October 22nd is Election Day, and I encourage everyone to get out and vote. Thank you.